What if the biggest threat to OpenAI wasn't Google, wasn't Meta, but the people who helped build it? Not long ago, a group of top researchers walked away from one of the most powerful AI companies in the world. No loud exit, no public fight, just silence. But behind that silence, something was building, because what they were about to create wouldn't just compete with OpenAI. It could change the entire balance of power in artificial intelligence. And today, that company is known as Anthropic. But this story isn't just about technology. It's about control, philosophy, and a quiet war that most people never saw coming. Inside OpenAI, things were moving at a speed the world had never seen before. New models were being developed. Capabilities were improving rapidly. And with every breakthrough, the pressure to go faster grew stronger. But not everyone was comfortable with that pace. Some researchers believed the industry was heading towards something dangerous, that powerful AI systems were being released without enough safeguards, without enough understanding of the consequences. Among those voices were Dario Amodei and his team, highly respected, deeply involved in advanced AI research, and increasingly concerned. At first, these concerns stayed internal. Discussions, debates, disagreements. But over time, those differences became impossible to ignore. Some wanted to accelerate, others wanted to slow down and rethink everything. And eventually, a decision was made. They left, quietly but deliberately. And while the public saw nothing dramatic, people inside the industry started asking questions. Because when top researchers leave a company like that, it usually means something bigger is happening behind the scenes. And what they built next would confirm exactly that. When Anthropic was created, it didn't try to dominate headlines. There was no aggressive launch, no attempt to go viral. Instead, it focused on something much deeper, a different way to build AI. Their core idea was simple, but powerful. What if AI could be trained not just to respond, but to follow principles? This led to what they called constitutional AI. Instead of relying only on human feedback, the system would use a structured set of rules, almost like a moral framework. Guidelines designed to shape how the AI thinks, how it answers, how it behaves. And that idea became the foundation of their main product, Claude. At first, Claude didn't attract massive attention. It wasn't trying to be flashy, but those who used it noticed something different. The responses felt more stable, more controlled, less unpredictable. It didn't chase creativity at all costs. It prioritized clarity and reliability. And for a while, it stayed under the radar, until something changed everything. Suddenly, the biggest companies in the world started making moves. Amazon invested billions. Google followed with massive backing. And just like that, Anthropic went from a quiet startup to one of the most heavily funded AI companies on the planet. This wasn't normal. Startups don't usually attract that level of attention, that fast. So why Anthropic? Some analysts believe this wasn't just about technology. It was about positioning. Because at that moment, OpenAI was rapidly becoming dominant in consumer AI. Chatbots, tools, applications. They were everywhere, and big tech needed balance. Another player, a counterweight. Anthropic became that player, a company powerful enough to keep the ecosystem competitive. But this also raised another possibility. What if this wasn't just competition? What if it was preparation for something much bigger? While the public focused on viral AI tools and fun conversations, Anthropic made a different move, a smarter move. They went after businesses, not casual users, not entertainment, but the systems that actually drive the economy. Developers started using Claude for coding. Companies began integrating it into workflows. Teams relied on it for analysis, automation, and complex reasoning. And something interesting happened. Claude didn't need to be the most entertaining. It needed to be dependable. Because in business, Reliability beats everything. And slowly, without making noise, Anthropic started gaining ground. Not in views, not in hype, but in real-world usage, the kind that generates serious money. And that's when people started paying attention. Because winning users is one thing, but winning businesses? That's where empires are built. But this strategy came with a hidden risk. Anthropic stayed committed to its original philosophy. Safety first, control first, even when it meant saying no. They avoided certain applications, slowed down releases, carefully evaluated risks. To some observers, this looked like discipline. To others, it looked like weakness. Critics argued that the AI race doesn't reward caution, that moving slower could mean falling behind. Some even suggested that Anthropic might limit its own potential. But supporters saw it differently. They believed Anthropic was building something more sustainable, something designed not just to win today, but to survive tomorrow. Because as AI becomes more powerful, the consequences of mistakes become bigger. And in that future, trust might be the most valuable asset of all. But while this debate continued, another layer of the story was unfolding. Behind the scenes, a silent rivalry was growing. On one side, OpenAI kept expanding rapidly. New features, new capabilities, new markets. On the other side, Anthropic focused on depth, precision, stability, enterprise growth. Two different philosophies, two different strategies. And both were working. Revenue numbers started telling the story. OpenAI was still leading, generating billions more. But Anthropic was catching up. Fast, faster than most people expected. And while there were no public confrontations, some reports hinted at tension. Not dramatic, but real. A quiet competition between two visions of the future. And then came the moment that changed how investors saw everything. Anthropic's valuation started rising, rapidly, from billions to tens of billions to hundreds of billions, in a surprisingly short time. Some estimates even suggested a future where Anthropic could reach trillion-dollar territory. And that's when the narrative shifted. It was no longer just a promising startup. It became a serious contender. A company that could one day stand at the very top of the AI world. But here's where things get interesting, because not everyone believes this growth tells the full story. Some experts argue that the hype might be ahead of reality, that expectations are rising faster than actual results. Others disagree completely. They believe Anthropic is still underestimated, that its real power isn't visible yet, because it's being built quietly, deep inside systems most people never see. And that raises a powerful question. Can Anthropic actually overtake OpenAI? Or is this just another moment of excitement in a fast-moving industry? The truth is, the answer isn't simple, because these two companies are playing different games. OpenAI dominates the public space. Millions of users, global visibility, massive influence. Anthropic is taking a different route. Less visible, but potentially just as powerful. Focused on infrastructure, on enterprise, on becoming part of how companies operate every day. And sometimes, the most powerful systems are the ones people don't notice. So maybe this isn't a story where one company destroys the other. Maybe it's something more complex. Two giants, growing in parallel, pushing each other forward, shaping the future together, while competing at every level. Or maybe, at some point, one of them pulls ahead and changes everything, because in the end, this isn't just about technology. It's about who controls the systems that will define the next generation, who builds the intelligence that businesses depend on, who earns the trust of billions of people. And right now, that future is still being written. And the most fascinating part? We're watching it happen in real time.